From VTV Channel 6 Studios in downtown Vernal, this is Local Point with your host, Chris Piner.
Hey there, everybody, and welcome to Local Point, brought to you by Strata Networks. I'm your host for today, David Gale, in for Chris Piner. Glad to welcome to the studio today Ron Litton and Brad Slagowski. Did I say it right?
You did.
All right. It's even written there for me. They are from Charitable Friends, and they're joining us here today on Local Point. Thank you guys for coming in. As we were talking about right before we started the show, I like coming into these things and not knowing what's happening, because then I can ask questions that maybe the viewer might ask as well. And so my first question for you is, what in the world is Charitable Friends? It sounds awful friendly. Is this a local organization, obviously?
We are a local organization. We're a 501c3 charitable organization set up to be a fiscal sponsor under the IRS. I'll let Brad explain.
Yeah, what exactly does
sponsor is.
There's the 501c3, and what does all that mean?
Well, it means that as a charitable organization, a 501c3, you're exempt, or a nonprofit organization.
Okay.
And basically, you need to do charitable works that are for the public in general.
Okay.
But a fiscal sponsor, what that means is that we're able to accept funds from anybody, anywhere, and channel those funds for charitable purposes. It can be at the direction of whoever donates, or it can be just free to say, a business says, here, I want to give you $5,000, do with it what you will.
Oh, all right. So you're not necessarily a charity that is set up for a specific cause. You're an organization that says, look, when there are people or other organizations, businesses out there who want to contribute, you can be a means by which those contributions can make it to different local charities or needs. Is that correct?
Right. There's another caveat to that, in that let's say you have a small little group that says, you know, we want to set up a save the cats kind of thing, you know, kitties or dogs, and they just don't have the wherewithal to become a 501c3 by themselves. It takes a little bit of effort, some expense, and so they can apply to us as a sponsor. We can sponsor their charity underneath our umbrella.
Okay, and is that the motivation for why? What was the name again? Charity Friends. What?
Charitable Friends.
Charitable Friends. See, I told you I didn't know. Charitable Friends. Is that why this organization was created? How long have you guys been around?
Been around a couple of years. It was actually, it got its root with the Uintah Trails Coalition.
Okay.
They wanted to become a 501c3 to raise money for developing trails, and word got out that there are a lot of other organizations around that want to do charitable things, and maybe a physical sponsorship, an organization put together to help those groups without everybody trying to become a 501c3 for maybe one project.
Okay. And are you the heads then of this organization? How does the governance of this work?
We're governed by a board.
Okay.
And there are 7 of us on the board right now. I'm serving as chairman right now, and Brad's one of our one of our financial experts.
Okay. So in the last couple of years, then, what are some of the things that you've been able to do as this organization to help out other organizations that may have been too small to do it themselves?
One of the first things that we did when we very first started was help a little bit with the piano that they put in the new library.
Okay.
They felt like there needed to be a grand piano in there so people could have small recitals and stuff like that. There were major corporations around town that wanted to donate, but a lot of times major corporations are, by their own rule, restricted from donating to just anybody because they don't get the tax write-off for it. So they could donate it to Charitable Friends, then we help that charity actually pay for whatever it is they need to accomplish their goal.
How difficult, like you said, is it to become one of these 501, was it C3 or 3C? C3?
C3.
Okay, what does it take to do that?
Well, the application process is pretty onerous. The initial application can be anywhere from, you know, I would say 30 to 65 pages long of information that you have to provide to the IRS to justify why you should be a nonprofit and exempt from taxation.
Right.
And as I said, the basic guideline is for us to serve the public in a way. So, you know, some of the things that we've done, like I said, have smaller organizations, or, you know, an organization like Rotary, for example.
Sure.
They're a charitable organization, but they don't have their own 501c3.
Okay.
So having that status and being a sponsor, we can take other organizations and put them under our wings. And then the companies, like the sponsors who have this specific guideline, who want the write-off, can give the funds to us directly, and that satisfies their need to have an IRS deduction, and then it also satisfies the needs for the other organizations. You know, right now the fee is $800 to even apply. And can you imagine the 60 pages that you have to come up with? You either have to go to an attorney or a CPA like me at, you know, $150 or $60 an hour. So you could be in there for $3,000 or $4,000 just to become a 501c3. And so a Little League baseball team, they're not going to do that. But if they're under our sponsorship, then we can get funds for them.
That's really neat. Okay, well, I'm excited to find out a little bit more about this. So in the next segment, we'll be discussing more of what Charitable Friends will be doing in the year to come, and maybe how you might be able to help as well. We'll be right back.
With advanced all-digital cable television from Strata Networks, you can enjoy jaw-dropping digital picture on hundreds of channels, exclusive local programming with VTV6, and follow your favorite college teams in incredible HD on the Pac-12 network, all with no contracts, no costly equipment, and no dishes mounted to your home. For details, visit your Strata store in Roosevelt or Vernal or call 622-5007. Strata Networks. We connect lives.
Welcome back to Local Point. Once again, I'm joined by Ron Litton and Brad Slagowski. They're here discussing the upcoming year for Charitable Friends, which, as we were talking about, is an organization that can act kind of as the larger nonprofit entity, legal nonprofit entity, to be able to disperse charitable funds to maybe some of those smaller groups that couldn't get that status. So I'm wondering, since your inception, has word gotten out? Have you seen growth? Have you seen people go, oh, look, here's this option for us, and are you taking more people under your wings, or are people not knowing about you?
A little bit. They know about us a little bit, but it's been kind of quiet to start with. We'd like it to grow. We need to let more companies and more individuals and more people that want to help in the community know about it. That's why we're here.
Oh, very good. I was going to say, how do you hope to do that? Well, maybe by coming on a TV show and letting people know that you exist. So what is your ultimate goal? Well, maybe not ultimate goal, but what would you hope happens in the next year? More people volunteering to help, more businesses being willing to contribute? Well, what are you hoping for?
Well, I think that the main goal is to establish that there's a way, because the Valley is very, very giving.
Yeah, yes, that's true.
And I just think that the companies, if they knew, and if other individuals knew that this existed, then, they could say to themselves, well, I want to give this much this year, and it can benefit a whole variety of things. And that's the second thing, is to let people know who are out there trying to solicit funds that, hey, if they come to a single point, things might work much, much better for them. And so that's kind of a goal, is to get that information out there and try to build, charitable friends into the point where charitable action takes place in the Uintah Basin.
That if they know that, they could do a lot of footwork themselves, but they may only get so far, but having you as a resource, as a friend, you might be able to help them out even more than they could themselves. How can these groups of people get in contact with Charitable Friends?
Well, there are 7 different board members, and it's it's probably not good to list everybody's names in the
Sure.
time we have. But if anybody is interested, call Heather Hoyt
Okay.
at 781-5482, I believe, and she does all of our legwork for us. She's great, and she'll get everybody that contacts her interviewed and set them up with an application and let them know what it's all about and see if it works for their organization or whatever it is they're wanting to do.
Very good. This year then, do you just take charitable causes as they come and decide, or is there any kind of planning that goes on? Meaning, do you know this year what you'll be contributing to?
We have a couple of things. The Rotary Club is really working with us now on a consistent basis. And there are a couple of other small groups, some soccer groups and baseball groups that we've done some things with. We need more. There's too many people in this area that want to give, and we need to help them give and help others receive. So
it's a good problem to have, I suppose. We've got such a great community, and I kind of wonder from a personal level how you guys got involved in this and what your motivation is.
Well, my motivation is that I wanted to be involved in the community, and I discovered how charitable the community is. And I'll just take a segue here to mention that we have another group that we work with that is like a tutoring type situation for kids struggling in school.
Okay.
And so we help them in. We have an application process where people are approved and the funds are approved for kids to do those kind of things. That's what I was kind of telling you a little bit about before. It's got to be for the public, and so if you've got a lot of kids, that can happen. But I was very interested in, trying to help build a mechanism for the community to give and spread it around with other little groups that just aren't as aggressive as other groups,
Yeah.
and we can get funds and help them out as well.
Yeah. And Ron, you're involved in a lot in the community already. You got one more project to take on. Can't help yourself?
I got called in on the nonprofit side because I've been with the Arts Council, which is a nonprofit, for years and years. I work for a nonprofit for a living. Now I do this for a nonprofit. Someday I'll find some profit.
Oh, that's great. Let's talk a little bit more. We've got just a little bit of time left, but when you talk about some of the things that you've been able to help out, are there any that really stand out to you as kind of examples of what you really hope to see when people come to you, charitable needs, as well as maybe examples from the community, those who have supported Charitable Friends as far as being able to give in? What's the best example here? Is it individuals coming and saying, hey, I got $10 a month that I want to put in? Is it businesses?
Well, I'm not sure I've been here long enough to answer that one real well.
I think the tutoring has been a really cool idea, because I know that we've had some families move in from out of the area or out of the country that maybe even have a hard time speaking English, and the kids are behind immediately when they're in school. And there's a local tutoring organization that provides that for them, but sometimes they can't afford it, and even individuals can sponsor one student or two students or whatever. I think that's pretty cool to help those kids get caught up and catch up with their peers. Yeah, that one's really a nice one.
And again, if anyone out there is interested, Heather Hoyt, do you remember the number one more time?
781-5482.
All right. Well, thank you, gentlemen, for coming in and for your work and being part of the community. Appreciate that. Of course, thank you all for joining us here on Local Point. That's all for now. Remember to like us on Facebook for updates on your favorite VTV programming, and we'll see you next time.